Assalamu alaikum, my dear soul warriors. Now, I made a couple of videos about zina and talked about how, despite its strict prohibition in Islam, many Muslims are drawn to temptation and risk falling into this. I talked about this openly on YouTube, and since then there have been many comments talking about how it's easy to fall into temptation and even a request on how to avoid zina in the first place. So I thought I'll make a video on that. I'm going to be talking about understanding its spiritual, emotional, and psychological roots and how to reclaim personal sovereignty by redirecting desire into clarity, creativity, and discipline. Once we better understand what this energy is, then we can learn to master it. I hope that this message will empower viewers to honor their souls, protect their energy, and rise with dignity in a world that normalizes temptation. And I'm making this video because I genuinely care about the Ummah and I want us to show up as our best selves in this world so that we may be successful in this world and the hereafter. So this is a Quran-based guide for men and women seeking purity, clarity, and elevation. Allah says in the Quran, "Do not approach zina. It's truly a shameful deed and an evil way." And this is in Surah Al-Isra, verse 32. He didn't just forbid the act, he warned us against even approaching it. That includes any form of physical intimacy and any other inappropriate behavior. Do you think you will say we believe and not be tested? Allah asks this question to us in Surah Al-Ankabut, verse 2. This test is one of the hardest, but it's also one of the most rewarding. Zina is a major sin, as is murder. So just like you wouldn't act on violent anger and kill someone, you can choose not to act on desire and commit zina. Self-control is a sign of true strength. And true strength is rewarding because when you do marry the right person, then you would have preserved yourself mentally, physically, soulfully for that person. And also, any good that you do in the hereafter, you are also rewarded for it. So you get rewarded in this world and in the hereafter. Going back to anger, it's powerful to reflect that a prophet, Musa alayhi salam, once killed someone by accident, yet no prophet ever committed zina, not even by mistake. So this shows us just how serious and spiritually destructive zina is. It's a sin of the soul, not just the body, and never something to take lightly. So let's try and understand the desire, this temptation that leads to zina a little better. So even non-Muslim traditions recognize the power of preserved desire, and it's often known as Kundalini, some of that energy which emanates from the source of our bodies. In traditional Eastern systems like yoga or tantra, Kundalini is described as a latent energy stored at the base of the spine, often symbolized as a coiled serpent. This area is associated with earthly desire, survival instinct, reproductive energy. So in other words, the same part of the self that Islam tells us to discipline and purify. When someone guards this energy through fasting, prayer, dhikr, modesty, having purposeful, focused living, that energy doesn't disappear. It rises, transforming into focus, creative power, clarity of mind, deep spiritual connection. So even non-Muslim traditions recognize that if you preserve the energy, it elevates you. If you indulge in it aimlessly, it drains you. Our deen already gives us this wisdom. Now we just have to apply it, not just to survive, but to ascend. Zina doesn't start with the body. It begins in the heart, a longing, a look, a scroll, a thought, a message. If you don't guard these things, then they can spiral out of control. Indeed, the hearing, the sight, and the heart, about all those will be questioned. So we need to be careful. One message, one call, one image can begin a downward spiral. That's why we're told not to even go near it. Desire isn't dirty, but it needs discipline. Desire is not haram, but how you handle it can be. When respected, it becomes willpower, it becomes leadership, beauty, strength, all these wonderful positive things. But when misused, it becomes confusion, addiction, regret, darkness. You were not created to be numb. You were created to rise. Desire is human, not male. The Qur'an doesn't separate men and women when it calls us to guard our modesty. And let's not forget that a man set the example of resistance to zina, Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. He resisted, not because he was cold, but because he had strength. That strength is available to all of us, men and women, if we honor it. So desire is not just a male thing, but it's something that's in all humans. The more you cross the line, the harder it gets to stop. Once you open the door to intimacy outside of a lawful relationship, it becomes harder to resist. Your body remembers, your nafs wants more. You start to justify what you would have once questioned. That's why the Quran says, do not approach zina. It's not saying don't talk, don't interact. It's telling you to be aware of where the line is and how easy it is to cross when that desire is stirred. You can speak with respect, laugh, even collaborate with the opposite gender. But if you notice that your thoughts are becoming emotionally attached, your imagination's wandering, or a desire is growing that you can't act on, you don't need to shame yourself. You just need to redirect, protect your peace, or marry that person. Visual stimulation is a silent trap. We are surrounded by visual temptation online, on screen, in entertainment, in ads, even in people's profiles. Each image weakens modesty and strengthens the nafs. Tell the believing men to lower their gaze and guard their modesty. That's a command that Allah gives to us in Surah Nur, verse 30. And tell the believing women to lower their gaze. That's in Surah Nur 2, verse 31. If your eyes are clean, your heart will be softer. If your timeline is toxic, your soul will be agitated. So unfollow, mute, and scroll away. Protect your peace. When desire builds, move it. This energy is a gift, but only if you channel it. If it's overwhelming, you can try many things, such as walking or other exercise, especially in the evening. Cold water physically resets your system. Deep breathing exercises recenter your body. Wudu and 2 rak'ah of focused salah can also help tremendously. Listening, reciting Qur'an, especially at Fajr, the blessed time, when the Qur'an is witnessed, is always a good idea. Journaling, cleaning, creating. I mean, you don't have to do all of these things. You can just do, a couple of these things, and you may find that they will help you. You can also try dancing, maybe alone or in a safe space, without music if you prefer. If you don't believe that music is allowed, then you don't need to dance to music. You can, just let the body move. And in nature, there is a lot of rhythm. So we have rhythm in the way that the river moves, the way that water moves in the sea, the way that you walk, there's rhythm in that, the way the birds fly and how they use their wings, there's rhythm in this. There's rhythm in nature, and rhythm can help to just move the energy. What starts as desire or restlessness can become joy, creativity, and clarity. That energy is not meant to sit, it's meant to rise. Fasting is well known to also help to master your control over yourself, spiritual control. Fasting is prescribed for you that you may become mindful of Allah. This is in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 183. Fasting weakens the pull of the nafs. It strengthens your will. It clears the fog. Even once or twice a week, fasting can change how you feel and think. Now, of course, you don't have to fast outside of Ramadan, but if you feel that fasting is helpful for you, and a lot of people do like to fast, say Mondays and, it was like 2 days a week. Some people do that like Thursdays, Tuesdays, or Mondays and Thursdays. So you can do this, and it might help you to regain that power over yourself spiritually. these optional fasts. Ground yourself in the earth because you're overstimulated. We watch so many things when we're scrolling on social media and when we're watching TV and just generally in life. There's a lot of information, a lot of energy coming our way constantly, and your soul can get tired of screens. So sometimes you need to ground yourself. You can try sitting in your garden, walking barefoot on grass or sand, being near trees, water, open air, touching the ground with your palms. The earth will remind you who you are. I find it really helpful to sit in the garden, especially when I'm feeling overwhelmed and there's too many thoughts coming in my head and I'm just not feeling centered. Then I'll go and I'll sit outside in the garden. Sometimes I'll even take, my laptop and work on it. And I'll just, feel like I'm doing something productive while I'm also grounding myself at the same time. Avoid what awakens the nafs. You don't need more control. You need less exposure. So dress to feel at peace. You try to avoid dressing in a way that evokes those kind of feelings of desire as well. And you can still dress nicely, but you don't have to dress like provocatively, for example. Turn off music that brings fantasy. There are many types of music that have lyrics that can evoke feelings you don't need to have because they're not helpful. So you can turn that music off. Say no to late night messaging and harmless flirting. Scroll away fast from anything that could linger in your mind. Block or mute triggers, unfollow so say no to content like that. I know there are ways that you can do this in places like Facebook, on Instagram, where you can either unfollow or you can also say, don't show me more content like this. Like there are settings where you can adjust what sort of content that you're seeing and being exposed to. But also don't feel guilty if things pop up on your feed that you didn't ask for, that you didn't they just appeared there. It's not always about the exposure. It's about what you do with that exposure. Block or mute triggers, unfollow. And then the stronger you guard your eyes and ears, the easier it will become to protect your heart. Don't shame yourself for thoughts. Thoughts will come. So will feelings, so will physical responses. That's not the sin, just as I said. The sin is choosing what you know harms your soul when you could have turned away. In the Qur'an, Allah says in Surah Al-Imran, verse 135, and those who, when they commit a shameful deed or wrong themselves, remember Allah and seek forgiveness. So say astaghfirullah, breathe, redirect that strength. Zina often comes from a wound or the whisper of shaitan. People don't always fall into zina because of lust. It can be because of pain, it can be loneliness, rejection, childhood neglect, a need to feel desired. These are signs of trapped emotions. When not cleared, they lead to emotional hunger and the body starts seeking relief in unhealthy ways. In Surah Al-Isra, verse 82, Allah says, we send down the Qur'an as a healing and mercy for the believers. There's a lot of healing in the Qur'an and there's a lot of emotional release that you can do by reading and understanding the Qur'an as well. So how to start releasing trapped emotions? First, name it. Ask yourself, what am I really feeling? So sit in silence, away from distractions and noise, and try to understand yourself and listen to your intuition. You can say this question aloud or you can write it down. Talk it out. Share with someone safe or talk to yourself because expression brings clarity. Pray. In sujood, you can whisper your grief to Allah. Breathe your breath and tapping. There are breath and tapping exercises that you can find on YouTube and elsewhere on the internet. EFT tapping, these sorts of things that can help to calm your nervous system. And while you do that, you can say, even though I feel unwanted, I choose to let this pass. Or you might have another statement that you can relate to when you have that desire or feeling in that moment. You can do these exercises and help your nervous system to calm down. Quran recitation soothes what your mind cannot fix as well. Journaling, you can write down, this is how I feel right now. I'm craving connection. It's hard, but I know something better is in store for me than this fleeting desire. Now, there are plenty of other ways as well that you can preoccupy yourself or find a way to channel this energy. So we will go through them one by one. Now, one of the best ways is to stay busy with goals that uplift you. Desire grows stronger in idle time. So instead of letting that desire linger idly, it's better to set goals that demand focus, read Qur'an with meaning, take a course, build something new, improve your body, finances, or skills. Purpose is protection. Just make yourself so busy in studying, learning, or building, creating, building a new life for yourself. Maybe you're in a job that you don't like. Maybe you want to get out of that. Maybe there's something else that you can do and you can build a life for yourself on a different path. So have a look into that and start preparing for that, because that will take up a lot of energy as well. You can redirect that energy into something meaningful that's going to make you feel great in the long term. You can also serve others, be useful. Your energy isn't just for you. You can help your parents without being asked. Look at what they're doing. What are your parents doing? And instead of waiting for them to ask you to do something to help them, why don't you just try and participate in the things that they are doing? So if they're cooking, you can go and, cut a cucumber, or you can help with something that they're doing without them asking you. Spend time with your siblings. Volunteer in the masjid or community. Join a cause, even a political or social one. Now, there are certainly political issues today, which require your involvement. And there must be charities and other NGOs and things that are doing wonderful work out there who you could really help. So try and join these things so that you can redirect your energy in a very meaningful way. Be the one who shows up with sincerity. Allah says in Surah Al-Ma'idah in verse 2, help one another in righteousness and piety. When your hands are doing khair, your heart won't chase harm. And also, when you go to these causes and you join in, you're likely to be surrounded by wonderful people, by good, pious people also, who will influence you in the right way. Don't delay marriage when the path is clear. If you found someone that you like, who's compatible with you, and that person likes you back, then marry. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be willing to grow with honor. You don't need to wait until you have the perfect job, or you have a certain amount of income, or you are 110% in perfect health. You don't need to wait for perfection or even the feeling that the time is perfect. You can marry if you like someone, they like you back. It's a natural next step. Good men are for good women, and good women are for good men. This is in Surah Nur, verse 26. Marriage doesn't eliminate temptation, but discipline does. Marriage is a blessing, but it's not a guarantee that you'll stay on the straight path. If you don't learn to discipline your desire when you're single, you won't magically control it when you're married. Yes, marriage is a clothing, it's a protection. However, if you have tendency to not have control over your personal self, then marriage might not turn you around in that respect. Look at the scandals that we see in the media. Even married celebrities are falling into public acts of betrayal. Recently, a famous Coldplay band member, despite being married, was caught in a scandalous moment, and it went global. Why? Because desire that is undisciplined doesn't disappear with a ring. Master your nafs now, not just for your future spouse, but for your own soul. And remember, Allah is always watching anyway. Protect yourself from those who mock your purity. In today's world, people often mock what's pure. If you're a man who doesn't chase women, you're called a simp. If you're not loud or aggressive, they say you're not a chad. If you're a woman who sets boundaries, you're too innocent or too sheltered. But let me tell you something clearly. Innocence is not a weakness, it's protection. Discipline's not dull, it's dignity. We often think that we're immune to peer pressure, but even the most confident people can be swayed by group opinion. In the famous Ash conformity experiment, participants gave clearly wrong answers just to avoid going against the group. If you've not seen this experiment, it's really worthwhile Googling it and looking into it. It's very interesting. So imagine the pressure today. You're surrounded by people glorifying zina, mocking religion, chasing dopamine, and calling it freedom. And when you see those who engage in talk about our verses, sinful talk about our verses, turn away from them. This is in Surah Al-An'am 68, verse 68. Walk away, protect your energy, and honor your journey. You want to find people whose presence makes you want to become better. We are all influenced by people around us, so we want to make sure that we have good influences around us. So for me, for example, this includes the prophets. I love reading the Qur'an and learning about how the prophets conduct themselves. Also my mum, my grandma, I know they were good women, and that's always been a great example for me to live up to. The reverts who chose Islam with passion and fire, they remind me that conviction is a choice, but so is dignity. Zina wounds the soul even when the world doesn't punish it. Sometimes people don't take zina seriously because it doesn't always come with a visible punishment. There are no sirens, no court, no lashes, no scars that you can show others. But that's exactly what can make it more dangerous, because it injures the inside, your soul, your energy, your sense of self-worth. The Quran calls it fahisha, i.e. a shameful, indecent act, and warns us not to even come near it. And what if the world treats it lightly? You honor yourself anyway, because when you protect your heart, your energy, your dignity, you're not just guarding it from punishment, you're preserving your future, your clarity, your peace. You are not weak for feeling, you are not dirty for struggling, but you are powerful when you choose your soul over your impulse. Allah says in Surah At-Talaq, verses 2 to 3, and whoever fears Allah, He will make for them a way out and provide for them where they never expected. Your energy is sacred. Guard it, redirect it, and let it elevate you. So I hope this video helped you with some practical tips, and just understanding it can be so empowering as well, because then you know what it is and how you can master it. I care about you all. You are my brothers and sisters, and I want us to really, feel strong and empowered within ourselves so that we can do the best that we can and not feel broken or regrets or anything like this. So I hope that this message is reaching the right people, inshallah, and I hope to see you in the next video. Please do like, subscribe, and share this video if you found it helpful, and feel free to drop a comment below. Please remain respectful, and I'll see you next time. Take care.